Good morning, everybody. Everything's
Um,
going super smoothly this morning, and I know how to use all of my equipment perfectly, so that's great. Just kidding. But anyways, good morning. Welcome to our final class of painting with expressive color. And we are actually going to start with a painting demo today. And I'm going to share the screen over to our Padlet to show you kind of some of the colors and idea of what we'll be doing. So here's kind of a cool blue, purples, kind of warmer purples because the light's kind of coming up from behind there. So yeah, early morning is kind of the feeling. I often think of sunsets as being warmer and sunrises as being a little cooler. And a lot of that's due to the fact that there's moisture in the atmosphere that, collects overnight and makes everything a little cooler feeling. Whereas at night or in the evening at sunset, you get more of that golden light, which I like to think, or I think is in part due to the dust and pollutants that get put up in the air during the day. And so you get oftentimes, if you see kind of a warmer colors, I think sunset, cooler colors, sunrise. I don't know what you guys think about that theory, but kind of feels that way to me at least. So that's the idea there. I'm going to do stop share and change cameras, and we're going to jump up to the easel and attack it here if I can find it.
hey, Michael,
Yes.
that's exactly what Gaudi did in his cathedral in
Oh,
Spain. Because you've been there, right?
yeah, I've been to Spain.
Well, but you've been to the cathedral,
Yes, I have.
and on the east side, it's cooler sunrise type stained glass window, and on the west, it's the more orange red.
Oh, that's cool. I never thought about that.
And when I was standing there, I go, "Wow, I get it totally."
Huh. So he was really pushing and playing that up. So if you go, that'd be kind of cool to go both times a day and see how different the illumination within the cathedral is. All right. So I'm going to start this off with a wipe away, but instead of using my normal colors, I'm going to do it with a combination of quinacridone red and blue, or maybe even quinacridone and phthalo green, and get kind of a so that the undercolor isn't that earthy brown and those Indian yellows that I do. So I'm not sure if I've ever done this in any of the classes using a different palette. So let's grab quite a bit of quinacridone red here.
So it's quinacridone red and phthalo green, just those two?
I'm going to try that. You guys down to try something different? Otherwise, to make purple, I could use either of my blues. But when I use the phthalo green, it turns into a kind of a gray or blue.
Did you say you're using acrylics?
No oils.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Said that. So watch what happens when I add some white to this. You can see how kind of a bluey green. Let's add a little more red. It's still kind of greenish. But I get these nice kind of muted colors. Let's add a little more white so you can see it a little better. Okay. But I won't be adding white, so we're going to have to see what happens here. Because I don't add white to my wipeaways until after I've kind of got it figured out there. So let's just grab some quinacridone. Anybody want to guess what I'm going to make up? What kind of scene I'm going to make up there? When in doubt for me, I go to the creek.
It's the creek.
I would not swim in this creek in its current condition. It looks biblical, something about blood in the water or something. I don't know. So let's see here. It's got a little bit of just a touch of paint thinner here. I'm gonna
And those-
see
Those
what
are both
happens.
using the same colors, just different amounts.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So now I'm just gonna grab a big brush and kind of scrub that in a little bit. Move it around. Still would not swim in this creek. Let's see if we can make it a place that you might want to take a early morning dip. Very refreshing while you're out, maybe camping. Moody. Woo. All right. So now I will take my paper towel and I'm going to wipe away my big area here. So just going to kind of get in there, kind of figure out some shapes that I like. And so I'm thinking big shapes to small shapes, right? Looks like I'm going to be using some paint thinner to get this off. Whatever surface this is an old painting. And I'm not sure what I kind of tried fixing it with. But it's pretty thirsty. Sucking up that paint pretty quick. And this is what I like about the wipe away technique is I can go, you know what? I don't like the shape of that creek very much. Let's bring some paint back in.
So underneath the two colors that you have on there now, it was just gesso?
I think
What was
so.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure it was just gesso
Okay, so you
on
didn't
top of an
put
old
color
bad
on.
acrylic painting.
Thank you.
Quickly, just figuring out how wide do I want my creek? Now, is it just something I can jump across, or is it something I got to wade through to get wherever? So I like this stage because it's really just all about design, my big shapes, not worrying about detail at all. I might be able to bring in some kind of interesting texture with my paper towel a little bit. But the truth is I'm planning to paint over most all of this, or if not all of it. So you guys beginning to see the beginnings of an image here?
Yeah.
Maybe this creek kind of rolls back here a little bit. And let's get some paint thinner on there. So in all truth, I probably wouldn't have put so much color into the sky because now I'm going to have to wrestle with it to get it back off. But that's okay. A little bit of paint thinner should do the trick. And then I get that little bit of staining, which might be kind of nice to kind of unify there. This is just a clean towel after putting the paint thinner. So letting that paint thinner sit for just a second or two. A little more pressure is being needed to kind of clear that off. Now I'll do the creek the same way, just a touch of paint thinner on the end of my finger on the paper towel. And this part's kind of important because I want to make sure I get a reasonably good shape to this creek. Something that's kind of interesting, something that looks like it's laying down. Don't want it going uphill if I can avoid it, or downhill, or
Michael?
just kind of, yeah.
Kim Hunt just posted a comment asking if linseed oil would be the same as paint thinner.
Yeah, but then I'd have a very, very slippery surface to paint on top of. So yeah, good question. You could definitely use linseed oil, kind of like paint thinner, but yeah, then I couldn't apply any paint on top of it for a while. I mean, I could, but it'd be real slippery.
Thank you. She says she's at the Toronto airport.
Okay.
Her plane's right side up there, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Boy.
Isn't that the one where the plane flipped?
Yes, it is.
So then I can even hit it one more time with some paint thinner in areas I really want to make lighter in the sky if I want.
Kim is asking now, what would you use as paint thinner?
I use Gamsol.
What?
Gamsol by Gamblin. It's very mild.
Great.
I still should be wearing a glove. But
And they changed the label on it, but it's supposed to be the same stuff.
yeah, they've changed all their the paint tubes have different labels too. Now I'm kind of looking at these kind of trees and bushes and different things here, trying to decide if that's interesting. I want to look, is it getting too redundant, too bouncy? Or maybe I want to turn that into a hill. Let's maybe turn that more into a hill back here. It'll be off in the distance. That'll give us one more layer of depth back there. All right, so you guys can kind of see how I would do an underpainting really quickly, kind of laid in my big shapes.
Yes.
And by using hopefully these kind of reds and purples a little more, I will be able to, they'll look a little more unified. If I did it with the real warm earthy colors or Indian yellows, or even the bright red, which could work, it would be a little harder to unify it, meaning it looks splotchier. I'm just going to clean. I like to have a big working space here, so I'm just going to clean some of that off. See what color we ended up with. Kind of nice. I'll probably be able to use that, modify it. So kind of a nice dark purpley gray. So I'm just going to pull that aside. I always go through so many paper towels in this stage. So now I'm going to create some mother colors. Again, I printed up the reference that we're going to be looking at. So I've got these nice kind of cool but bright blues. I've got these warm purples. And then I've got a bunch of nice kind of really bright blues in the distance there. I think the printers made that a little brighter than I would want to paint it. So let's think. We got that sky colors, the kind of light blue. A lot of times when I'm doing my mother colors, I can either pick like the biggest areas, or I can kind of go from the top down in the image, or whatever you want to do. I'm going to start with our manganese blue, because that's kind of my most obvious sky blue color. Mix a little
Michael, I
white.
have a question.
Yep.
On that reference, it feels like the colors are going the opposite direction. I mean, it looks like the orange and yellow aren't where they belong. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
So what I'm imagining here is basically a fog bank, or, you know, a big cloud low to the earth.
Okay, so that would be a cloud.
Yeah, that's how I'm kind of picturing it.
All right, I got it.
And then the sun is behind it, so it's kind of illuminating some of the more thin area. And then it goes up to the sky here.
Right.
So if I'm thinking the top of that sky, I'm going to go ahead and mix in a touch of this phthalo green and a bit of my ultramarine blue. And let's see. Kind of a nice turquoise, really quite warm. This one's quite green. So none of these colors I'm mixing are the colors I probably want. So I'm going to go a little more towards the ultramarine blue. Beautiful, weird color. I like that, but it's not the color that's in the reference. I'm going to again grab a little more ultramarine blue. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this ultramarine blue. I can see that it's kind of old and drying up. So let me just get that off. I'll pull it aside so I can put it on my self-portrait later. Let's squeeze out some more ultramarine blue.
How many inches thick is your portrait now?
Yeah, it's heavy. That's all I know. Yeah, my mom was over yesterday and she goes, I hope you do a nice one next time. So I'm going to grab a whole bunch of ultramarine blue and really shift this. But I don't want, let's just see what would happen if I just did ultramarine blue and white. Maybe I'm making this way more difficult. So the ultramarine blue and white is quite purpley, which can be nice at the top of the sky. That's probably easier. So that phthalo green is making it difficult. So I'm going to pull this whole pile aside. And this is what I do with my color mixing, how I'm kind of, you know, I know that I might mess up and I'll use these colors later, maybe in that mountain going in the background or the hill. So I'm just going to pull it aside, right? No harm, no foul, or no foul, no harm, or whatever you say. So I'm just going to pull this over. And then again, I know as it goes down, it gets a little more towards a clean blue color, which I think this might be able to work. As we're getting towards the horizon, then it's going to get a little yellower, a little whiter. So I'm going to take that last bit of that blue. I got two yellow, two greeny, beautiful color, but not the right color. So I'm going to pull some of that aside, save that. And I'm going to mix more of my manganese blue. So what happens a lot with beginning painters is they're trying to make a color and they just keep, let's just pretend that that these are my colors and I'm trying to fix it and I'll go, okay, well, that's not blue enough. I need more, cool blue, but it does have a little bit of green. So I add yellow but it's lighter. Oh, it's too green now. I need blue. And oh, but it's too dark. I need white. Oh, it's too light. I need to make it darker, more blue, right? And all of a sudden you just have all of your paints in this one pile of paint.
Mud.
Have you been watching us? Watching me?
So yeah, I
Oh my
like to
gosh.
think
Oh
of
my
it as
gosh.
it's the
that is
blob
so
that
true.
eats everything, right? So
Yeah, that's
it's
so
important
true.
that I just keep dissecting these piles because they're all fun colors and they're all useful. And when I turn them into smaller piles, I can modify those later by adding colors. But because I have a smaller pile of color, I'm not just, feeding the blob. So I find that very important to remember. And some colors are so strong, right? The cadmium colors. And yeah, see the yellow? It just keeps coming out. So I added too much yellow. So I'm going to pull that aside because it just ate all of my manganese blue.
The sky was purple this morning.
Nice. All right. See, now this transition feels much better, right? I hope. We'll see. Can't really know until I get it up on the easel, but I'm going to clean up some of this space. I also find it's a lot easier to dip my brushes into the paint when I get them into a pile. All right, so just clean my palette knife in between. All right, now we're going to think about the purples that are in the sky here. So on the bottom, they're quite warm. And I only added quinacridone. I didn't add any cadmium red this time. And let me get out my manganese. Manganese and quinacridone red make some beautiful purples as well. So let's just see what happens here. The manganese is quite a bit stronger than this phthalo blue. So it went to a very plummy color. Add a little white just so we can see, but it's sure beautiful. Add a little more color to that. So that's pretty nice.
Mhm.
Did you say that was quinacridone red or magenta?
Yeah, quinacridone red. I
Okay,
know a lot of people use quinacridone red. Rose would actually make even prettier purples because it's not quite as warm as this quinacridone. Or a quinacridone magenta is even cooler yet, I believe. So a cooler quinacridone color like a rose or a magenta versus just a quinacridone red has a little more, it leans more towards purple. It has a little bit more blue in it. I'm just going to mix that white in so I can begin to see, because a lot of times when I'm mixing purples, they're so dark when you're only using your two base colors that it's really hard to judge them. So I know that I want the bottom part and certain parts of it to be really quite warm, meaning more of my quinacridone and less of that manganese blue or whatever other blues or even the phthalo green that I add. But then it gets to probably more like this color. Add that in there, kind of above it. Still probably a little dark. I'm going to take a little bit of that, bring it up, and add more of my manganese and really cool it down so we get a cool purple.
Yeah. I like that combination.
Isn't that beautiful transitions? I also know that I want kind of a grayed down neutral. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this phthalo green, which when again, chromatic black is as phthalo green and quinacridone red, put those together. Look at that chromatic black, right? Mix in some white, and I bet you it's going to be a reddish gray. A little warmer. Actually cools down pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and add some blue to that, cooling it down. And quite a bit of light because it's really dark. It is a very gray, kind of a little bit purpley.
So what was the last color you added to that?
Manganese blue.
Thank you.
And I was just kind of tint it towards blue. I'm going to add a little more and a little more white. So again, another reason I like doing mother colors is because I can see, like, look at how beautifully these weird blues and these weird purples, they just look like a candy jar, right? I mean, those are beautiful. I would eat those Easter M&Ms.
Two.
So now I've got my ground plane, which is bigger than I than I thought. So what colors do you think I should do? And what's happening as the sun is rising? You know, the sun has not revealed itself. So the sky is cool. The light is hitting, most of the light that the land is going to see is light that's reflecting off the sky, right? Because it's kind of behind these mountains,
Mm-hmm.
off the cool of the sky and coming back down. So what kind of colors do you think we're going to have in our foreground?
Definitely cool.
Yeah, quite cool. So then I have to think, okay, if it was normal daytime, right, noon, let's say, what color would my grasses be? Do I want green grasses? Do I want reddish grasses? Do I want, you know, green springy grasses or green?
What time of year is it?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I get to make all that up. I can also make it snowy or frosty, because if it's early morning, maybe it's a little bit frost colored, which would add kind of a bluish, cool tint to everything. I'm going to go with kind of a, I think what's going to go really nicely with this is one of my favorite colors is the kind of a gray green, kind of a cool gray green. And then I'll be able to bring in little bits of hints of some of the warmer plants, you know, that are their natural colors a little warmer, but they'll still be on the cool side due to the lighting. So I could use my phthalo green. Let's just see what happens when I add white to that. You guys have already seen this. It's going to go crazy.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, that is not a green that's going to play nicely. I mean, it kind of does. It's kind of beautiful, but it's not going to feel right in this world and not going to feel right by the light hitting it. So I've got to definitely cool that down. I've got some Payne's gray over here. Can mix that in, which is really going to settle that down. Gail was asking about that last week, right? Let's add a little white to that so we can kind of see. Oh, so much prettier, so much better, right? Very gray, cool. That is nice. And see how all of a sudden it plays nicer? It's, you know, not just a jewel color. It's not just a glow in the dark emerald of paint. But now it's really gray, but that actually, I kind of like it. And I could maybe make a little pile where it's a little more vibrant, maybe coming forward. But because I'm mixing it with this gray pile that I have here, it settles down. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of ultramarine blue, which is my blue that leans towards purple. So it's going to be kind of, it's got a little bit of red in it, which the opposite of green. Actually, let's just do that. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of quinacridone red to this, and it really should die down. Add a little white to that. And that's kind of beautiful. Add a little more, just warm it up a little more. Ooh, I could see some of that off in the distance, right? Back here where maybe there's the fog is a little thicker, a little hazier. Yeah, what do you guys think of all these colors? Like, do they play nicely together? You know, is it going to look good over the couch? Is there a nice harmony? Is it going to, you know, match the wallpaper in the bathroom? Whatever it is you want to match, but or whatever you want from this. But I'm looking just, do these feel like morning colors to me? Do they speak of peace and harmony and everything, kind of the zen quiet feeling that I want from this?
Yeah.
Right. When I think of early morning sunrises, I think of, you know, early morning walks, early morning hikes, maybe being out in the canoe on the smooth water. And it's just more early mornings are often just so relaxing.
Now,
So I want
what
to kind
yellow
of
will,
emulate some of that both in my design and in my colors. So
what-
what do you guys think?
Good.
I like it, but what yellow will you use with that?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna probably stay away from the Indian yellow a little bit, maybe just a hint of it. But I'm thinking, let's just see what happens with just my lemon yellow, cadmium lemon or cadmium yellow light. Right? Still almost too warm or too yellowy. So I'm almost thinking like can really lighten that up. I have to squeeze out some more white here in just a second, which is fine. Nice and creamy, looks like buttermilk. I'm gonna add just a touch of this pink to it. Both piles.
Perfect.
Let's see what happens when I mix that pink over here. Oh, that quinacridone is so darn strong. That's still a gorgeous color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other color that was just mixed in with the white up there, when this last variation of your yellow, there's just some mixed in up there from your palette knife.
Up here?
Yeah, in the white. Whatever you got a hold of, a little bit of whatever it was, made that yellow just creamy.
Yeah.
Now it's too much, but anyway.
Yeah, well, it's because it was contaminated. There was little dabs of everything up there because I'm not cleaning my palette knife properly. But I kind of like this. This might be fun, little, real soft green that I can use to modify some of these greens up here a little bit. So let's make another pile of that kind of creamy yellow. So I'm just going to keep modifying this out. I'm going to add a little more yellow.
Sometimes that green is in the morning sky. That pale green you just made. I see it here.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Linda.
I said sometimes that pale green you made, I see it here in the morning sky.
In the morning sky, yeah, and we might be able to use a little bit of that in that transition where it goes from the, you know, warmer colors along the horizon where the sun is kind of rising to maybe the little bits of yellow, and then it goes up into the whites, and then it almost goes to a pale green where it
Right.
begins to transition to the blues. And
Right.
yeah, you can really get some of that beautiful. So we can see there's not a whole lot of space up here in the sky or the reflection to play with. Like, I don't want too many bands of color, right? Otherwise, I'm just creating a rainbow of my sky. But we will see. Grabbing some brushes out of my silverware holder from my last dishwasher that we just had to replace. Don't know if you guys saw that. Here, I'm going to move. I just took, when we replaced the dishwasher, I just grabbed the Tupperware container.
Oh, that works well.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
There's holes on the bottom of it. So I just put glued some super glue and cut a piece of cardboard to fit it. And the kind of cool thing is they have little clips on them, and so it just grabs onto the edge of this metal container that keeps my paint thinner and my mediums. So now everything's pretty handy except for I have to reach across the camera to get to it, but I could always just move it.
Hey,
Okay. What do you think? You guys think we should get going? Put some paint on this little guy?
Yes.
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
anxious to see how they fit in.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, it's always an experiment. And these are always modifiable. That's what's great. It's like if I didn't quite get it, because all colors change when they're beside another color. And I apologize, grabbing some more brushes out of my thing here. So I'm going to start kind of along the horizon with that warmy pink. And this way I can kind of use it to shape kind of some mountains back here, some hills. So I got to kind of think which way. So I've got this motion right here, right? This kind of,
Mhm.
so I'm thinking I could probably bring my hill kind of like this a little bit, you know, at a little bit of an angle so that it's kind of got a little bit of motion. Then maybe I'll bring my clouds a little bit now because then it'll mimic this. So I gotta, maybe the mountain should go this way and my clouds can kind of move around up here.
Where's your center of interest?
I'm probably in the here.
Okay. And where's your light coming from?
Kind of softly from behind.
Okay.
So probably it'll be this area will be my center of interest, and I'll kind of make that kind of the yellow on the top of the pinks right about here, which will also reflect here, kind of keeping this all in motion. And I went ahead and put all my trees and plants over here. I may have to counterbalance it, but maybe not. Maybe it'll just kind of be a little lopsided.
If you have your hill higher on the right, that can work into like an S curve.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to think of. It's kind of what's the dancing motion I want from this. I want this little tree to be, or bush to be much more scraggly.
Are you going to add that other tray later?
Well, maybe if it dries, that might be kind of fun. And that could actually be a good counterbalance, is having something in the
Yeah,
foreground.
that could be.
All right, then I'm going to go ahead and go up to the cooler purple just above that. So that's my hill is kind of the shape underneath that bright pink I just put in. Going up to my next cooler purple. And I'm going to go ahead and use some of that cooler purple mixed with this gray to maybe a little bit of, I got rid of all my bluish colors. So let's mix it with some of the blue that I had over there. There we go. Let's kind of bring in this hill a little bit here. Let's chop down some of those trees that are back there. Oh, that plays kind of nicely. Let's see what happens if I warm up the top of that a little bit, a little more purple. I'm gonna lighten that a little as it comes down and it's getting a little more atmosphere on it. Kind of like that. Let's go back up to our sky, and I'm going to bring in some of these pinks, but not quite as warm as before, and maybe add a little more white to make them a little lighter in value. A smarter person would have been doing this the whole time, putting in their reflection, so not have to kind of think of how to match all these colors so much. And I forgot to put in the reflection of that tree, didn't I? Let's just grab our brush that happens to have some of the colors from the previous. I'm just going to bring in some of that, just so I'm kind of marking off that space. Definitely not the right color, but that's all right. I thought these piles of paint were so nice and big, and I'm already running out of some of them. But because I'm using a fairly limited palette, I should be able to get back in there and kind of harmonize some of those colors, or recreate them at least close enough. All right, let's go ahead and get up to that sky.
Brighter than I thought it was gonna be.
You would think for a guy who paints so many creeks and streams that I would keep remembering to do the reflection, but I literally keep forgetting. Whew, look at that green blue color next to the pink. See how over here it looks pretty grayed down and mellow, but you put it next to that pink, and boy, it wants to sing.
That's exactly where it goes. In the sky.
Sometimes you just gotta let them sing. My reflection of that tree is stupid, but we'll modify that as we get in there. I'm still just putting in colors. I'm just kind of testing. Now, look at how cool these purples are, right? But look what happens when I put them next to blues and greens. They just kind of go crazy, right? Doesn't this look almost, I mean, this looks like it could be out where you live, Linda, out in the desert, right? Just these bright colors. So I'm going to ask Graham, since Graham's the one that asked about the demo today. What do you think, Graham? Do you like this vibrant, or should I mute these down a little bit?
I don't know. I really like it. I think it's gorgeous. I love that green against the pink.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
I do
so we'll
too.
let it play. We'll leave it for a little bit. We'll see.
It's just a little later in the morning.
Yeah, or the clouds are a little thinner.
It's the sun is almost ready to peek over the mountains.
I almost feel like it has. It's just not peeking over the clouds. It's kind of just shining through them.
Yeah.
So we'll keep modifying. We'll keep playing. All right. So now I've got this other band of trees back here. Everything is feeling very warm in this area now, right? In contrast. So we got to get some bluey grays back there. Let's see how this works. Might be too vibrant of a color. Yeah, that's really vibrant. So I'm going to mix some more Payne's gray in there. Again, look how grayed down it looks over here, but when I put it over there, it just becomes electric because every color is only about what the colors next to it are. I'm going to add some red to that a little bit and see if I can.
That's better. Still look good. Better.
Still greenish, right? Maybe I want to go more towards the blue. Oops.
They're at quite a distance, so it would need to be more blue, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You 8 pieces by this, okay?
Okay, we'll start with that, baby.
No, what will start? I got 8, it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
You see, I just put down a dab and went, oh, it's almost worse. Don't keep putting it down when it's not the right color. Just get back to the mixing.
That's better.
It's feeling a little better. Yeah, now my mountain feels like very pasty and cool, but really far back there. So we'll let that sit for a second. Again, I can always just come back in and add more color.
Yeah.
All right, let's get our cool darks because these are really kind of in the shadows. Oh, I like that, especially against that red. Maybe put it on a little more transparent so it lets some of that under color show through. Possibly. We'll see.
So the rule that you go by, well, the sort of rule that you go by with cool light, warm shadows doesn't pertain here because everything's cool.
Yeah, mostly. It would still be slightly warmer shadows. It could be. Definitely. But I don't want them to be red, that warm. I'm just kind of looking into the shadows, kind of figuring out some of the cooler areas or darker areas, I should say. Thank you, Linda or Cheryl. Being stingy with my paint and making little piles. So let's just get a little more bold there, get out some more white. I think this is going to be fun here in just a little bit. Again, just right now, I'm just laying colors side by side to test them. You see, there's no detail, anything like that. I'm just feeling it out, seeing what happens. Like those pinks are much more vibrant than I thought they were going to be. Oops, I just put neutral gray, which I'll be able to use. I put out the wrong color of tube here. There's some white.
Much better.
But this is what I really like about painting is, I have a half-baked idea that I'm going in with, but it's just so fun to see, like, this is much more vibrant than I intended, but maybe it's going to work, or maybe it's just slightly different than I intended. and I can adjust, or I could go back in and modify it to get it closer to my initial instinct. And neither one of them is right or wrong. It's just fun. I'm just playing with paint, playing with color, having a conversation, both with the class and with my paints.
And enjoying the process.
Very much so. I'm having a blast. I hope you guys are having a little bit of fun, at least while I'm having the time of my life.
I can see.
I enjoy watching you paint.
Thank you. Now let's see what happens with this crazy green. Wow. Again, it feels so gray up here. We'll put it down here.
Beeps.
And I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna let it play for a second and just see.
Yeah, because that blue in the back that looks so bluish green back there is really blending in now.
Yeah, it drops back. Yeah, because there was. Whew. That is that's a lot. Use some of that gray I accidentally put on there.
That's better.
How wet's your underpainting?
I'm sorry, what?
How wet is your underpainting?
I bet you, well, let's just see what happens. So if I put a brush stroke down, it sits on top. If I dab it a couple times,
Not bad.
not bad. It dried pretty fast. So it starts to come up a little bit but no, it's pretty darn dry. That's neat. So yeah, I was telling you that surface is pretty thirsty that I had on there. So hello, background meet foreground. Just kind of looking for some transition areas a little bit. So hopefully it feels a little more harmonious, not these giant jumps of color and value. Even though sometimes those can be really impactful when put in the right spot or used in the right way. But I can always add my impact brush strokes and impact colors towards the end, kind of, you know, just like what I'm thinking of with the yellow in there. I am gonna, you guys care if I use my big fan brush and kind of blend this out and kind of combine some colors? But let's just look at that for a second here. I want to step back. I haven't stepped back once, which again is a cardinal. I don't have many rules, right? I have guidelines, but not rules. But one rule, if you want to call it that, is to get away from your painting, get some space from it so that you can actually start to judge it. I am thinking those pinks are a little much, right? It really becomes the painting is like if somebody said, did you see that painting? And you said, what paint? Or they said, what painting? And you'd be like, you know, the one with the pink clouds. All right, let's take a quick poll. Linda Morgan O'Connor, what do you think? Too bright?
I am fond of the pink, I have to say. I hear you, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a dramatic color.
All right, it's just not what I went in intending. Okay, I'll ask this then. Does anybody not like those bright pinks?
I like them.
I like it.
I see bright pink almost every morning in the sky.
I like it.
All right. Congratulations, little bright pink. You get to stay.
Get to live another day.
Get to live another day. Exactly right. So
If
I'm just
that-
going to take.
If
Go
that
ahead.
bright pink is where your sun is supposed to be coming up.
Going to be kind of back here. Is going to be.
Oh, all
the
right.
tops of
So
these
I
clouds
thought it was
kind of
still
later.
behind the
I mean,
mountain.
the sun can still be back here, but what it's doing is it's catching, back from behind the hill, the light's kind of coming up, right?
Okay.
And it's going to be catching the rim of these clouds.
Wouldn't
And
that
maybe I
get
could
a
bring
little
a
more
little-
muted to the edges if that's the brightest place?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good compromise.
That
As
bright
it,
pink line could be
as
a
it-
little more muted.
as
I'm just gonna
it
take
comes
some of
up, that whole bright pink sky will get a lighter pink and lighter purples. And you'll see a golden orange, I see a golden orange, like it's like light shining through a funnel that makes this like.
Oops, we lost you there.
Like
I'm
makes,
very excited to hear about the funnel.
well, the funnel it makes like this orangey yellow, Indian yellow, and a little quinacridone red with white, hallelujah funnel, like light coming through a funnel in the sky. And that's where the sun comes up. And it's like that every day. It doesn't matter if there's clouds or no clouds. It makes that reflection of like beyond the golden orange, and then it turns bright yellow as the sun peeks over that rim. Everything else is the blue and pink further out. Changes rapidly. Everything that was bright turns white. All that bright pink and purple sky will turn white and a pale gray. Yeah, as the sun rises higher.
Right. Yeah.
This is just a beautiful moment captured in time forever.
Right. It's one of those mornings where you're like, oh, I don't want to get up. Okay, I'll have some coffee. And you step outside and you're like, oh, I'm so glad I got up. Oh, so glad.
That was me too.
It's all for me because everybody else is too sleepy, too hungover, and too lazy. I think that's one of the reasons I do like waking up at sunrise. I mean, I've been waking up at like 4:30 lately, and I just love the morning. I love the quiet, even the dog will come out, let me pat its head, and then it's like, I got to go back to bed. This is crazy. And I just love that time of day. I love the quiet, especially like if we're out at the cabin or, out camping. And
So you asked a question about the pink, and then I remembered something I read, and I was just looking back on your critique that you wrote, or how to critique, your guide to critiquing.
yeah,
and one
don't
of the
listen to
things that you
anything I
mentioned,
say.
yeah, well, one of the things you mentioned is to avoid letting personal taste influence your critique, and that can be difficult because I'm not fond of pink. It's one of those colors I really not fond of. So I look at it and I think, well, I'm not fond of pink. So,
Sure.
how do you overcome that when you look at something? Because I'm drawn
I
to
mean, when
certain
it's
colors.
your own work, then yeah, you do want to bring your own tastes and sensibilities into it. But it's more like when, like if Don, we were looking at his work and we were going to critique it, I would ask that you don't say, well, I don't like this painting because it's pink, or I guess you could say my painting. But you were able to look at the other aspects of it,
Okay,
you don't
awesome.
like pink, but is the design working, or is the you know what I mean? Look at the more technical elements when you're looking at other people's work.
Yeah, well, I can kind of get that. I do get that. But when you were asking about, what do we think about, the pink, And like I said, you know, I love the painting. I love everything about it, but I'm not real crazy about pink. So it's hard for me to um, give a biased, I guess,
Well,
opinion
yeah, but when
because
I'm asking what about the pink, that's not a, that is a bias question. I'm asking for a bias at that point.
okay, awesome. I just want to get clear
No,
on my mind
absolutely.
so
That's a
that
great question. But yeah, I mean, and I know that when I put pink on a painting or, bright purple in a painting, that certain people are going to be like, must have that, my favorite color, don't even care what the painting is, but I love the colors. And other people are like, yeah, but it wouldn't go in my house because I don't have pink in my house. Or, you know what I mean? Anytime you have strong colors, you're definitely swaying your audience, um,
I,
towards their preferences.
you have grayed that down considerably, and
Yeah.
to me it's a whole lot more pleasing. But
Yeah.
like again, my personal preference gets involved and not being fond of pink. But now it is really very attractive. I love it.
Well,
Oh,
my,
good.
my question is this leaning towards what Graham's question or why he posed this reference?
Yeah, I think Graham said, how do you paint with the color of bubble gum? Was that right, Graham? Not, maybe I misunderstood. Graham was asking about early morning colors.
I just posted an early morning sky that has purple and pink and orange and green, all of these colors in it. So if you guys looked on Padlet in resources, I just
Okay.
took it this morning, and it is so freaking pink and purple. It's crazy.
So
Make
I
you
have a
pee.
question about the 3 trees that are prominent there by the creek, and
Yeah,
they look quite, kind of maroon color. And
yeah.
I'm wondering, are you gonna leave it that way? Because the thing that the pink doesn't bother me, but with those maroon trees are kind of bugging me. And
Good.
I think it's because,
You're smart.
oh, okay.
That's why.
No, but I mean, on the pink, I don't like the way they're on the pink. I love the pink sky. I think it's beautiful. But those 3 trees,
Yeah, I haven't painted those at all. Besides, that's just the wipe away color.
so
So
you're not
no,
sure. I was just curious what you're going to do with those guys.
paint them.
Okay.
Yeah. No, great question, great observation. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I wanted to kind of get everything kind of
Oh,
going
sure.
behind it
Yeah.
a little bit
Mhm.
and get that
Oh,
kind of
sure.
figured out
Yeah.
before I
Go into the trees. I know.
go in and just add,
Right.
could be detail, I guess.
Yeah.
So look how you toned down the pink sky.
Mhm.
You toned it down beautifully, but this morning it was not toned down. It was brilliant.
Woo, I way overlighting that. Yeah, yeah, good. I mean, I'm happy both ways. I liked it before, but now I feel like it was like a circus sign advertising. It was so bright. I am really having a hard time. Oh, I should go to purple with that mountain. Golly, you're dumb. Come on. Let's
You're
go to
not
more
dumb.
purple
Don't say that.
because it's a transition, right? It's got that kind of that pink atmosphere kind of coming.
Well, I think color also is how we perceive it. It must be because, you know, what looks really pink to one person may not look really pink at all. Linda, I just looked at your posting. It's fabulously beautiful. To me, it looks purple and orange. I don't even see pink in it.
Well, it was pink. It was pink
It's beautiful.
this was before the sun rose, and I'm looking to see if I can find a good example of that funnel looking with the orange on the hitting the horizon. This one
That's beautiful.
This one that I'm posting now, and the blue did not look blue. The camera caught blue, but it was purple. It was deep, deep purple. It was
It's
so
very pretty.
And here's the one I just posted the one, the sun's coming up, not in a really good place. There's trees and buildings that are in the way, but you can,
Oh,
if
that
you look at
one's
it really
cool.
closely, you see that funnel of orange that's brighter than it is like behind the trees. Can you see the streaks in the sky that the funnel shape makes? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's beautiful.
That was this morning.
Wow, you live where the sky is fabulous. Ours is gray.
Oh,
Uniform gray.
we
Wow.
we don't we have beautiful skies and no rain.
Ah.
I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna bring some of this pink light, but I'm graying it way down. Maybe add a touch of, let's go with this light blue. And the greeny blue from the sky. Combine those two, and I want to try something here.
Watching Michael paint over time. When I first came on with him, I would say, "Oh my gosh, he just ruined that painting." Or I'd say, "Oh, that doesn't look." No, I wouldn't go. No, okay. But the thing about watching is just wait and don't say anything.
Yeah.
Are you saying let me figure it out that I'm ruining it on my own?
Kind of like
you pull it together, you put it down in a way that it's beautiful and it pulls together your magic, you take out your magic brush and it whip everything together.
Yeah, it's kind of like reading a really good mystery novel. It's not the end of the story. You just watch and wait and pay attention to what he's doing. And
That's better for that color.
Yes.
That's much more
Not so bright.
It's a mist.
yeah, so now I never comment is the point. I wait.
Right.
That just gives so much more depth to the landscape to me, and that what you just added.
Good. Yeah, that was the goal. What if I grayed it down, but I made it a slightly, like you can see my gray is quite pink. Which
Light pink in there, but you don't see it.
no, because of the
Yeah.
other
It blends in.
If I didn't have that other pinky, you'd probably see it a little more. I remember I could only watch Bob Ross when I was homesick from school. And OPV or NPR was the only channel we got anyways out in the where I live. But remember watching him and just like every time I watched him, I'm like, oh no, now you've done it, Bob. You really messed up. And just kind of like thinking, like almost getting excited, like I'm gonna watch the one video where Bob Ross messes it up, and nope, every time he pulls it out. So I think maybe I did learn a little bit about bravery from watching those videos as a little kid of just like, oh, let's just see. I mean, again, it's just paint. I can always in mind is that I can come back in and modify this later. I can scrape it off. I can take paint thinner. I can do all sorts of things. All right, so let's look at our trees and kind of figure out what I want from those. I don't know if they're just kind of dark upright shapes. I mean, that may work. And maybe I can start there and see, maybe what happens if I do that. Too warm. All right, so I actually need to make a plan. These trees have just been kind of bonsaiing themselves, like they've kind of slowly taken on a shape. I got to make sure that the spacing isn't too even and that the sizes of them isn't too even. So I'm going to go ahead and make this guy over here a little taller. Kind of maybe up there. A little too dark. Got to remember that there's atmosphere out here. I'm just lightly kind of dragging my brush around and squeeze out a little more Payne's gray just because I'm lazy, and that's a nice, easy way to make a cool dark. But I don't want to use just Payne's gray, so I'm going to doctor it up with some blue, a little red, a little more red. And this brush is really firm. I kind of feel like maybe I'll use this to draw in and kind of plan that shape. And then I'll use more of it like a synthetic, which I can actually load up and drop the paint off. Because I have so much paint already on here, this brush is kind of in bad shape. I don't think I've washed it properly. It's very firm, kind of crusty feeling. And so it's really pushing down into that paint and kind of mixing maybe where I don't want it to mix. So that's a dumb shape, right? It just goes up and then the peacock on top. What am I doing? So let's make it more interesting. Let's say this kind of comes down to here, and then I'm going to mimic that a little bit, but maybe we can bind these trees a little bit.
That'd be a good idea.
Let's make this guy shorter. It's always better if I have references. If we took a little break, I maybe find some shapes that I like.
Have I missed the part where you're going to add the yellow, or was I not paying attention in the sky?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, I need to be more patient. Sorry, it's
That's
like
all
the
right.
mystery. It's like the mystery story. I need to wait for it to unravel. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. No. But that always happens when I'm watching people paint. Either online or whatever. Especially if I see something that's wrong, I'm like, fix it, fix it, fix it. And then when they finally do, they know it needs fixing.
Okay.
They'll get to it, and but I can't look away from it. Right.
I can't not see it happening. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But again, I'm just trying to make sure I get everything kind of laid in, blocked in, so that when I put it down, I'm pretty secure in my decision, I hope. This shape is still so stupid. What to do? What I may need to do is just kind of come in and put some sky holes or something to. So planning. Why do I have to learn that lesson every other painting? Importance of planning. but I am still having fun. And I'll have fun when I figure out a shape for this.
Can you show us that brush, the tip of that brush that you're using?
Yeah, it's like a filbert kind of, but I think it used to be a flat.
Cut it down and
What was that?
have you altered it, or you just
I've
used
altered it through like erosion of use.
I know all about that.
Yeah, erosion of youth. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, almost all my flats, as like this is kind of one in its mid-career here. So it used to have sharp edges,
Yeah.
squared off edges, but whenever I scrub, I'm,
Excellent.
so I don't buy filberts because I make filberts. Almost every flat eventually becomes, especially the firmer bristle ones, become
cool.
flats.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right. I do not love my trees. Actually, this one looks kind of cool on the screen.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's
The one
this-
over here looks like it's got the fattest trunk and it's just sprouting at the top. Can you split that trunk?
Yeah. Probably.
I agree.
In fact, I will do that.
Yeah,
Let's get that yellow on
unpruned.
though. I'm tired of
Unpruned.
torturing whoever was just mentioning that I haven't put my yellow in yet. So let's do that.
That was me.
Who's me? I can't see you. Sorry. Kim?
Michelle. That was Michelle.
Okay.
We
All
rarely
right.
see yellow in the sky in the Northwest.
Let's get some. I'm going to start with my nice peachy color. And I may even add a little more quinacridone red, just to a little bit of that, so that I can get kind of a transition. Might be too dark. Let's see. A little bit of white. This is kind of a peachy, salmony color. All right, so kind of thinking up through here. So I mean, I could even add just a dab of that down there, so the light's kind of peeking
Oh,
through.
that's your sun coming up
There it is. Yeah.
right there.
Ah, too strong. All right, I'm going to take some of that and put it on top. I'm just using a long Egbert brush now. So these bristles are really long. And it gets kind of a nice dancey feel. It makes it so I can't control too much.
That's what Kat likes about them. She doesn't like it. They just kind of do their thing.
Right. Yeah. And I have some, I've got some that are much bigger and more flexible, that are a lot of fun. I'll show you guys another painting I was working on yesterday that I was able to use these quite a bit.
I posted several good pictures of this morning's sunrise. It changes colors so rapidly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
In 10 minutes, you have just a whole different view. I don't know where they're going to. I post them, but I don't know if they're still there or not. I don't know what's there.
What area are you posting them underneath yourself or under the reference photos?
No, reference photos so people can use them and look at them.
All right. Thank you.
I posted about 8 of them, but only 4 of them showing up.
Sometimes pictures get moved around because when you're going from
Yeah.
one place to another, you get your finger on the thing the wrong way, and then whatever you're looking at moves down about 3 steps.
Okay.
So it might be down way below where you think it ought to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure I'll have more clouds by next week to post because we get clouds in the middle of the day and by the afternoon, they're just stragglers and they turn orange and golden in the sunset, and morning clouds that are thin. Sometimes the sun shines right through it and it's so beautiful. Oh, I just want to melt. Gorgeous.
Michael, did you bring in another color or are you just blending?
Right now I'm just blending. Yeah, good question. Thank you. I'm just taking and gonna make that white or yellow a little more spotlighted.
Don't forget your reflection.
I know.
Good one.
Good luck, me. Which is nice because now it doesn't have that strange tangent with the tree. All right, let's see if I can make this make sense. Let's bring a little more of this warm color into this cloud. Let's bring more warm, a little more warm, a little more warm. And light's kind of coming through back behind here.
The yellow resolved the problem that I was having, as if it was that light on the ground, it had to be lighter in the sky.
Yeah, good point.
Because there was too much light on the ground for what we had up there.
Doesn't somebody in this class live in Edmonds or near Edmonds?
That's me, Michelle. Yep,
All right, I've got a painting to show you. I painted Edmonds last night.
you did.
I live in Edmonds too, not too far.
That's
This is
true,
Lisa.
yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Uh-huh.
Who's
You
that?
guys can paint together.
Yeah.
Who's speaking that they live close to?
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, where do you live?
I'm in Greenwood, Finney.
Oh, sure. My daughter used to live in Finney.
Okay, so who's talking and where do you live?
Michelle, and I live right downtown Edmonds. In fact, I look out my window and see the Christmas tree that gets lit up every year.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's beautiful down there.
Oh, thanks. I'm pretty happy, pretty lucky here. Yeah, Lisa, we should get together.
I
Yeah.
hope you guys get together.
Go paint the harbor.
Well, Michael shows at Cole Gallery. That's how I found him.
Yeah, Lisa's bought a painting from there before.
Oh, good.
I did. I treasure it. It's
I bet.
beautiful.
But yeah, they were interested in some new work, and I'm like, I don't have anything that would. So just quickly, well, not very quickly. It took me all day, but see if they like it. Yellow, kind of. I'm not sure I love this little bowl that it's living in.
It does that. It does, it'll shape around it like that with the
Yeah.
pink on top.
Doesn't mean I like it.
I put more in, but
You should step back from it.
Yeah,
That is true.
it's time to step back.
Getting stabbed on my own petard or whatever that weird saying is. Telling you guys what to do and you're turning it on me.
We're good students.
That's right. It just shows you're a good teacher. We're learning.
All right, let's change our angle. Coming along, look at that. See how that is exactly the same color as that, but because it's surrounded by dark, see how bright it looks?
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta be careful with your sky holes, folks. Bite you in the face.
Beautiful. So pretty.
I love that.
It is beautiful.
Very pretty.
And what's funny is it's so much closer to these colors now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't be shy.
interesting.
Perfect.
Nice.
Very nice.
I love it.
Yeah, do you want me to keep working on it and get those sky holes and stuff, or you guys get enough from that and time to look at your guys' beautiful paintings?
Yeah, that's good. What
Yeah,
you've
we
done.
need a little break and then we'll look at painting some.
I
All
went
right.
to see the painting you did of Edmonds.
Okay. Actually, I posted it on our Padlet. So
Oh, you did? Okay. Thanks.
now I just need to do this so that it's so weird that I can drag a brush all the way across the painting if I do it really, really lightly, and it doesn't just drag paint everywhere.
Uniform.
I'm not a big believer in magic brushes, but these crazy fan brushes, thick fan brushes.
You are a fan of those fans?
I am a fan of these brushes. Yeah, that's right.
Is that a rosemary brush?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I was watching a video of a gentleman whose name I cannot remember yesterday, and he spent a fairly large portion, even though he paints with a palette knife, he uses these brushes where he wants to soften his palette knife. And I would have kind of thought that he uses a palette knife, but not as much as he does. And I think it's because he goes back in and softens a lot of the areas. Still very impressionistic and chunky, but Okay.
Well, that's a masterpiece, Michael.
Very nice.
Yeah.
On its way.
Beautiful.
It's on its way. That was super fun, you guys. Thank you. And as always, you know, I get nervous partway through and, you know, think that I'm, you know, gonna make you guys sad. And that, you know, but and I'm gonna let Graham down. But you just kind of keep painting and keep pushing the paint and keep doing tests and yeah, it's
works
a lot
out.
of fun. There's quite a bit of paint on there. So that one was for those of you who do like the wipe away and seeing, you know, how to add paint. You know, you can still see some of those reds showing through under the grasses towards the foreground and certain areas, you know, and I can get rid of that or, you know, utilize a little bit of it. It's kind of a nice little hint of a glow. And I'll definitely come through and reshape those trees and get the sky holes, but that'd be boring to watch. But you guys kind of get the idea of that. Plus, I should actually maybe do some little drawings and figure out. Right now, it's a mama tree holding hands with a baby tree, and then the way that the daddy tree's walking off ahead. Maybe that's the teenager tree walking away.
How can we see it when it's done, though? Can you post
Join
it?
my next class, Darlene. You're in
Well,
there.
I'm going to do that. I have a problem joining online, so I'm going to have to call them because for some reason, my online information is just not working, and I don't know why that is.
Well,
So
and I've
anyway,
had 2 other people write me this last week that they have had to call.
Yeah, I
And
call.
the
I never do
payment's
online
been
because it didn't
difficult.
work for me.
yeah, I'm going to call this afternoon. Last time, the reason I didn't show up in the class is because they put me in your class last year.
Oh,
And
Wow,
and
that's
I
weird that
said,
you
you
could even
know,
sign up for it. Yeah.
yeah, they had everything, but they put me in last year's class. So anyway, she fixed it. But
Good, good.
I'd like to be able to do it online, but it just never works. So I'll give them a call today.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah, perfect. Well, I hope, you know, as many of you guys as want to and can do sign up. I still am 3 students shy of actually even having the class go right now. So we need 3 more students.
Nice idea.
I'm
Michael, this
signing
is
up.
Diane. Yeah, I just signed up.
I just
Okay,
signed
2
up.
more.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
signing
gonna
up.
join.
I'll sign up today.
good.
All right, good. Well, it sounds like we're going to have enough. And Dawn, are you there still, Dawn? Nope. Okay. Remind me to ask Dawn because he said he signed up, but I'm not seeing his name on the list. So, anyways, great. Let's take a 10-minute break at least. Is 10 minutes, or do you guys even want 15 minutes? Because we just went for an hour and a half.
10
Whatever's
minutes is
good for you, Michael. What's good
Oh,
for
10
you?
minutes is plenty. I'm just going to go get some coffee, and from now on, I'm
Michael,
sitting at my computer. Yep.
this is Diane Lewis. I'm
Hey,
still in
Diane.
Hawaii. My computer died.
Oh no.
I'm on my phone and I'm leaving back to the mainland. So
Okay.
I won't be here for the rest of the class. I'm doing a triptych where I'm located, so I'd love just some critique if there's time. If not, that's
Sure.
fine too.
Otherwise,
I'll
will
keep
you be
working on
there
it.
tomorrow as well?
Tomorrow I'm no, because I'm well, it's an overnight trip. So I get home at 9:30. I don't know if I'll be in any condition. Probably go
No,
home and
no, no
sleep.
worry. Okay,
'Cause-
yeah, we'll discuss your painting here.
Okay, appreciate it.
All
And if
right.
I'm awake enough, I'll come tomorrow. I just don't know. I don't tend to sleep on planes.
Oh man, that's my favorite. All right. You
Okay,
guys
all
have a
right.
good 10-minute
Aloha.
break. Have a good time there, Diane. I'm very jealous. You've got some nice color on your cheeks there. Got some
Yes.
sun. All right.
Yep.
We'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
I won't
Okay.
because I have to go pick up Charlotte at school. So I will watch the rest of this online.
All right. Well, have a
And
great time
see
with
you
your
tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. Take care.
Creme brulee coming up.
Oh, yes.